No nii, tere kõik.
Hello. I was very happy to listen to previous presentations. I don't know how excellent put together this forum, but it actually paved the way for my presentation. And my topic is the real price tag of invoices. We are not talking about what is on the invoice line, what's the number, but we're talking about the price that was created before the invoice got to the accountant and what happens later on. And we also have to ask, where does the time of the accountant go? We know that the time has the value of gold. It is a currency in addition to data. And today, let's look at this overview. Before we go to data, I would like to first talk about my world. Officially, I am the sales and product manager of Fitek, but unofficially, I'm a digital enthusiast. I have been in digital world for about 10 years. I've been interested in it, and the AI topic is of interest to me. It has become especially popular during the past years. There are many interesting solutions to be immersed into. I've been nicknamed the Queen of Automation because in Fitek, because everywhere there is the possibility to automate, I will try to do it. There are opportunities for that. And what has always been my drive has been customer centricity. Customers say quite a lot what they tell us quite a lot what we would or we should do better. And finding solutions. For example, a customer calls and says, I have this issue. How could I improve it in Fitek? And suddenly, the ideas come to me. There's always something that we can do. And today it has, by today I have reached this stage thanks to this. Among accountants, we carried out such a survey to ask where is their time going. Here, it is reasonable to refer back to the last year. Mait Soaru was on the same stage and showed us a survey carried out in the US. And from there, we could see clearly that a big portion of the time goes to dealing with purchase invoices, but also bank operations, sales invoices, if the customer doesn't do it themselves. Another half, or another part that moved that made us move further was the Fitek's own software. I would like to say that it's one of the best ones, but what makes it best is the fact that we develop it continuously and want to make it better. And we had to decide which direction to take and how to improve this solution. We did that. We sent the survey to the accountants themselves, CFOs, financial specialists, whoever have to deal with processing invoices. There were 350 answers or respondents. We were so surprised. Some people said, you will just receive 100 respondents. And actually, we got more, 350. There were both public and private sector accountants. It was from micro companies to bigger corporations. Everyone took the time they could to answer our survey, which was quite thorough. I know that in this room there are those who actually responded as well to the survey. I really want to thank you. We got great input. Let's move on and see where the time goes for the accountants. When we look at this pie chart, then it's the working time of the accountant within 1 month. And the biggest thieves of time, similarly to the US survey, are, purchase invoices processing, then bank and account transactions, so adding the payments, the transactions, redirecting the transactions, and then 9.5% goes under sales invoices. And a little bit under bank operations, because as an accountant, you have to check the receipts. And if these three are put together, then this makes up 40% of the accountant time. It is quite a lot. I would like to use the pointer here, the 4.1 and 6.4%. What do you think? What is that? 4.1 is what the accountant can contribute to make the job more efficient, give input to developments and so on, so that this 40% of the activities would reduce. And 4.1 is too small. I think the cake should have different slices here. That accountant, being the specialist of their field, should have more time to contribute to developments and giving an input to developments. 6.4%, this is the time that such a specialist is using to advise customers and management on how to do things better. Unfortunately, most of the accountants' time goes on routine work. Let's open the first piece of this pie and see what does the purchase invoices processing looks like. What are the processing? So data entry, 3.2 minutes. I would like to mention that if the biggest share of invoices was by e-invoices, then the time was frame was smaller. They could even win in time with e-invoices. In addition to that, amendments, communication with suppliers, 2.8 minutes. Once again, could be reduced if there were more e-invoices. Maybe this is digitalization, which is halfway done. PDF detection is not as good as it could be. 2.4 minutes on cost and account codes. And here, automation would help. The more e-invoices there are, the more possibilities for automation. Whoever has checked the e-invoice knows that the metadata in it is gold. You can use it for your own good in your job. And I would really hope that many would use it more. And minor things, taking in invoices, checking the invoices, checking compliance, whether with the contracts or orders, if the invoice is compliant in this sense, and minor phases. Altogether, almost 13 minutes per invoice. That's a lot of time. Some say that, no, it doesn't take that much time for me. I had an accountant who called to me and said, I haven't actually thought about it so detailedly, but just out of interest, I measured time. These phases, it's not immediately. It is not just one workflow. Sometimes they have to go and confirm something, then go back. Someone makes a request. But 13 minutes is the active working time that the accountant might spend on invoice. But let's leave the accountant aside once they have finished their 13 minutes of work. Where else does the time go with purchase invoices? The biggest bottlenecks in processing purchase invoices are that the accountant does their tasks accepts the invoices or not, waits for the explanations, then sends it for confirmation, whether it might be automatic even. But why is the invoice blocked in the middle of that? According to respondents, it's because 66% of invoices are just waiting for someone's confirmation. So why? Let's be optimistic and let's say that it's not about the person itself. They are not doing it on purpose. But the factor is, if a person is there, they don't have the information that is necessary. They might not have the information on how it was done in the last month. Maybe some additional documents are missing. Maybe they need to go and check from the next office and ask someone. That's why the invoices might be blocked. And we know we all want to be comfortable. People are moving around. They're not always sitting behind the desk. In Fitek, actually, we have created this function of managers. They can confirm at any time on mobile application whether they are at a meeting or moving around, at a dinner, whatever they have. Invoices are always accessible to them. They get notifications. They can check the basis document, the PDF. They can see if the accountant has given additional information and whether there are some cost lines, additional documents. All of this information is available while they are moving around.
Lisaks.
Additionally, a bigger piece of the pie are invoices that are missing information or that have mistakes. It is both a task for the person who has to confirm it and also the accountant. They can't just send it directly back to the supplier. They have to check what's happening. They might have to contact the supplier to say that the invoice has missing information and they cannot confirm it. Today we have all kind of integrations that we could reduce it.
And in addition, we have cross-checking of invoices done by many accountants, whether invoice is in correspondence with the purchase order, whether it complies with the contract, whether this is actually a true invoice. In the era of scams, somebody might send you an invoice and you may have to check whether the supplier really exists, whether the bank account is the correct bank account of the supplier. And for this, nowadays we have developed systems so that the accountant does not need to do detective work. Let's move on to the next piece of cake. And those are sales invoices. As was mentioned before, many of our clients do their own sales invoices, and about 50% of our respondents, so those were accountants or finance managers, said that they dealt with sales invoices. In other cases, the process took place outside of accounting. But if an accountant does deal with sales invoices, it's one of the biggest time thieves. What takes time here? Collecting information from different systems. If you have a sales system which is not integrated with the accounting system, then you need to check something or ask from somebody, or they get an Excel file and they need to enter all the sales into the accounting system. All of this takes time. Then the other possibility is when you have integration, but it's not satisfactory. This is the part of time that you need to correct mistakes. And then the routine activities, compiling the invoice, checking contracts and price data, once again the detective part, and finally monitoring of incoming payments. And we did ask our respondents, what was the biggest client segment to whom they send invoices and through which channels? B2B was the dominating share. More than 60% of the respondents said that this is their biggest client segment to whom they send invoices. And in this segment, it is very easy to send invoices today. 65% of B2B sales invoices are still sent as PDFs. This is a huge waste, both to the person drafting the sales invoice as well as to the company accepting it. On both sides, this process could be streamlined and a lot of time could be saved. Moving on to the next topic, we really wanted to know how our respondents were doing when it came to automation and whether automation had helped them in any way. And what we saw was fairly clear-cut. The respondents who had more e-invoices, 80 to 100% of e-invoices, can automate better. If we think about the public sector, then there is an obligation to them to accept e-invoices, and this also creates the possibility to automate. In the public sector, 33% of respondents said that e-invoices prevailed, and 48% of those who had prevailing e-invoices said that the processes were fully automated. And as to the respondents' understanding of how much automation has helped them, then 46% of the respondents said that their manual work has decreased by more than 50%. And here are the price tags. If we look at the purchase invoice, it takes, let's round it up, 13 minutes. Average working time. Everyone can calculate based on the number of their incoming invoices per month. Let's say you have 100 invoices per month incoming. That's 129 minutes to process the invoices. But what else is a big number? Cost per invoice. How did we calculate? We took the average hourly salary of an accountant, 25 euros per hour. Sorry if this is not your salary, but the average. So if your hour costs 25 euros and you send out one purchase invoice, then the invoice costs 5.38 euros. Just one part. If the other party accepted an e-invoice, you could subtract 3 minutes from this time. So this is a point to think about when somebody says that we don't want to deal with e-invoices, the service providers have so high prices. But that is the cost where your accountant could be doing something more valuable with their time. The other side is the sales invoice, 17.3 minutes. And here automation could halve the time and also halve the cost per invoice. The sales invoices, there is the factor that you want to receive a bit of money back. If you're sending out invoices for €10 purchases, then consider whether sending out an invoice separately is actually necessary. If it's €1,000, then it might be a different matter. So what can we do? We asked our respondents to write down one thing that they think would make their lives a lot better. And a lot of them wrote that they want e-invoices to be obligatory. But here, bigger forces are at play. We cannot change everything. What we can do, we can change ourselves. So what we can do, we can accept e-invoices. We can send e-invoices, request from our companies to send e-invoices. We can request e-invoices from our suppliers. We can say that we don't want to spend €5 on each of our suppliers for every invoice. If we can collect those low-hanging fruit, then after that we could perhaps take some time, analyze our processes, take them into pieces and look for opportunities to automate. All modern softwares provide those opportunities. There are solutions. So a call to you. If you're not sure where to start, come to our stand. We're next to the door back there. We can help you with the solutions. And one more thing. This presentation was a bird's eye view of the survey. We actually have more detailed information that we would be happy to share with a larger audience. If you want to look into this survey, then come to our stand. We'll take down your contact data and send you the full overview. Thank you. Thank you, Kristi. Let us process the questions that have arrived right away. One upvoted question. Why should we choose e-invoices if we can use AI to enter data, for example, Cost Pocket, which takes PDF from the email and sends it directly to accounting? PDF used to be an XML. And XML is an e-invoicing format. You may use AI, but it's not as accurate. Machine-readable data will put the data in the correct data field. Is the AI correct enough? Is the AI accurate enough? Or do you need to keep checking it? That's the question. The next question, what are the main hindrances? Why have companies not adopted e-invoices or automated purchase invoice processing? The numbers tell us we need to do it, but we're not still doing it. Why? Is this typical of Estonia, or is that a universal program in the whole of Europe? Europe is moving towards those trends. Estonia has been on this road for quite some time, especially the public sector. Why don't companies adopt these solutions? First of all, it may be because they have not looked into the data. We looked for previous research on this topic and we didn't find any. We did something new and perhaps more detailed than before. So maybe we can change the perception. The next question, public sector has essentially solved the problem. Is this a legal requirement to send e-invoices, isn't it? But in the private sector, there is no rule, and there probably will be no rule. One day there will be this rule that you need to accept e-invoices. So that would be a reason to adopt them. Some more questions. 340 respondents. What was the most surprising find in the survey? Some things turned probably out just as you expected. High waste of time in some groups, but what was the biggest surprise to you? Very often, it is difficult to convince people to change processes or to automate. I can show lots of things, how lots of things can be done from my point of view, but the other side has to accept it as well. What is important is perhaps to stop for a second and think about it and move on. So it was a surprise to you that there is no such readiness. But isn't this a bit about need to control? If I take a look at things and they're correct, and if I make a mistake, then at least it's my mistake. But if a system makes a mistake, then we feel the issue to be bigger than it is. Or are we scared of hidden mistakes? What the trend is, everybody can make a mistake, systems as well, but human errors are usually bigger. And the fact that somebody needs to review or check things, this will not change. In Fitek, we have AI solutions. It reflects the information back to you. It simplifies things. It helps you save time. That's where the mindset should be going. How could we do things more simply? How could we save time? Do you have any personal experience of guiding this transition process? This does not depend on a decision of one accountant. There should be a wider consensus. So how should we guide this process in order to gain this consensus? It depends on what process you want to change, what is necessary to contact a software partner. Then we need to describe the process. We need to involve all the parties to this process so that everyone would understand what is happening and also everyone would understand what we can gain by automating. Thank you, Kristi. It was very clear.